Hi everybody, my name is Michelle and welcome to The Joy of Being You. On my channel, I talk about all things manifestation, metaphysical, occult, symbolic, and things of the like. But right now what I want to focus on is the power of a focused attention, which is what I believe a majority of the occult is really about. I personally think you can know all about symbols and symbolism and numerology or whatever you want, but the foundation of all symbolism is what do you believe that means, and it will be that thing. Even though some things do have meaning, so it was left behind for, I guess, us from people in history to understand what they were talking about. But when you look at things that are, I guess, esoteric and occult, ACCULT, in nature, and they kind of get a bad rap because there's things like Baphomet or I don't know what else there could be, like the devil or things that look like they're evil. Really, I don't believe that there's anything evil inherently. I just believe that there's decisions and perspective. That's why I think with the law of assumption, you can think that you deserve good things and be a bad person, and you will still get good things, because bad and good are up for you to decide where those belong in. Meaning, like, is stealing a loaf of bread bad? You know, this is an age-old example. Someone will say, well, yeah, it's because you're stealing. Okay, well, what if the baker is a glutton and has hoarded all of the ingredients from the community they live in, and there's a starving child on the side of the road? Is that child stealing that loaf of bread really that bad? And it's like, oh, well, you know, now that you put it in that perspective, now that my attitude and my mind and my assumption towards the scenario has changed, it is now good. So you give consent to what good and bad is. Good and bad are just ideas. And if everything is up for you to decide, then that lends a hand again to you being the creator and the predominant force that controls your world and your reality. You can have the worst thoughts and you can think negative things, but if you subconsciously know that you're always protected, indirectly, I'd argue you'd always be safe. Thinking something does not create manifestation in itself. Thinking something and believing it and shifting your perspective to that thought being true is what makes it come to life. So that's why you can think as much as you want, but if you don't believe it, then that's where you won't experience that thing. So Neville talks about something, I think, called vain affirmations, where it's basically doing robotic affirming, where you can think something, but because you're not feeling it with your heart, it won't really happen. But this is what I want to say about that. I think that's a contradiction in itself, because you need to repeat things in order to learn and to make you know what that thing is. We naturally do that. Children do that. They will repeat behaviors. At a very young age, when they can start talking, they'll say why to everything. Why? Is that not repetition? They're learning. They're being programmed. Their brains from 0 to 7 are in a state called theta state. And theta state is the same as hypnosis. Hypnosis and being a child between the age of 0 and 7 are the same playing field in terms of what's going on in your brain. It's open to programming. And the way you program yourself is through vain affirming or robotic affirmations. The thing with robotic affirming, though, is that I believe that you need to know that the law of assumption genuinely works. If you are new to the manifestation community and have listened to a lot of people and have tried everything, and you have these like programs in the back as well about, you know, inner child healing or like crystals or Reiki or other modalities. I'm not here to say that that's good or bad. Everyone learns in different ways to get to the same place. But what I want to say is, if you believe Reiki will work, it will. If you believe tarot, it will work, it will work. All those things are doing, in my opinion, like if you have a pendulum and you're swinging it back and forth and whatever, and you think you're talking to something or you're trying to get an answer from your higher self, and you really believe that, you will be convinced by the pendulum based on what it tells you. So let's say you're sick, right? And you're like, will these herbs help me? And then the pendulum says yes. The pendulum only says yes because your subconscious already has a bias towards it working. It's not because the pendulum is this unique quartz crystal that has the all-knowing answers. You are born a god with infinite power, and when used correctly with a focused attention and not wavering from that thought, can create whatever it is you want to experience. Why would a pendulum have more power than you? It's rock. It's a cool rock. It's probably got some cool properties to it, and I'm sure it's healing to some degree. But I would not say it's more powerful than you. So the same applies with tarot. If you're like, will this career make me successful? And you go through the deck and you're shuffling and you're shuffling and you're shuffling. And you were told at one point, the 10 of Pentacles means amazing wealth. Subconsciously, that's already there. Let's say subconsciously you already feel confident about the job that you're doing. Both of these subconscious beliefs are programs that will show in the cards. And chances are, if both of those things are true, you will then get the 10 of Pentacles coming out, and then you'll get a dopamine hit saying, oh my God, tarot told me I'll be successful. And what I want to say about that is, no, it didn't. You have a subconscious projection onto these pieces of cardboard with pictures, and you're giving your power away to these things, knowing more about yourself than you know about yourself. But all these cards is a reflection of what you already think. You just think too much in your day and get in your way, which then ultimately makes these cards give you a different reading. Because if you're like, I feel positive about work, I'm super successful, and then you shuffle, and you get the 10 of Pentacles, right? You're like, oh my God, cool. Fast forward 2 hours later, you feel negative about yourself. Then you're like, oh, I don't know, what are the cards gonna say? And then you go shuffle, and then you have like the card that's like destitution. I think that's the 5 of Pentacles or something, where they're like outside walking and like homeless. You're like, oh no, what happened? God did that to me. Like, clearly this isn't gonna work. And then you like sleep on it and you get pissed off at tarot. Then you come back to it like 3 days later and you go to some online reader and they're like, by the way, abundance is coming your way. And then whoop, your confidence goes back up again because that's what you were seeking and hoping to hear. In scripture, it says, seek and ye shall find. I forget, I think it's in the book of Matthew. It's basically like a poor man is going to keep like if you do not have abundance, more will be taken away from you, but if you feel abundant, more will be given to you, essentially. And it's because the cause is always in your head. You are always the cause of what is happening to you in your life. Just like the bread example with stealing it. Is it good or bad? Depends on how you justify that situation. You can have a group of 100 people and I don't know, 25 will say it's good and 75 will say it's bad. It's not like there's a real answer. It's what do you think? And I had this in another video basically explaining what I am that I am means. But it's just like, why do you think the world powers so badly want to scramble your brain and make you feel horrible? It's because your focus creates your reality. So if you focus on feeling negative, while not knowing you're being subconsciously programmed by the news, trash TV, I don't know, the education system, religion, you know, if you don't know you're being programmed by then, you're going to be a victim to you being asleep. And that's like Neo in the Matrix with the red pill and the blue pill. I think the red pill's like when you wake up and the blue pill's when you fall asleep. And that's really it. It's like, are you conscious of what you're thinking, or are you gonna just not do the work and not be a disciple, which all that means is just discipline. Are you gonna discipline your thoughts or not? That's it. That's how, is it disciples become apostles or apostles become disciples? I think it's apostles become disciples. And it's basically, if that is the right, order of it. An apostle, then, in theory, if I have this right, is someone learning from Christ. Christ was not born of man. Man symbolically means mind. So it means Christ was not born of the mind, implying he does not have an ego. However, what's interesting is that he is still physically, biologically a man, which represents a mind as an entity, as a human, controlled by the feminine, which is the spirit. He was born of a virgin woman, which implies pure spiritual consciousness. He didn't have an ego to counteract his affirmations. He would say something, boom, blessings would come. I don't know if this was really Jesus, but there's like, what's it called? Like they couldn't catch fish. I forget who was fishing. They were fishing on the left side, and then it's like, oh, we can't catch anything. And they're like, oh, throw your net to the right. Cast your net to the right. And out of nowhere, all the fish were in the net. It's like, do you really think, literally, I mean, how big could a fucking boat be for these people, Let's say, I don't know, I'm botching it. I'm not good with the measurements, but let's say the boat is 10 feet wide or something, right? Do you think these dudes would be fishing for like 2 hours on a left side of a boat and not catch a single fish, or even be aware of, a bunch of splashing and things going on the right side of the boat where apparently all the fish are? This is a parable. This is allegory. These people are not stupid. I would hope they're not stupid if the Bible is the most read book in the world. Because if they were, and this is to be taken literally, we are looking up to brain dead people. It's like, hey man, open up your eyes, throw the net to the right side, because clearly there's fish swimming here, but for whatever reason, we're not paying attention. All that means is the left side implies your mind, because you have a left and a right side to your brain. When the net is cast to the left, it's the same as going west in scripture. Anything to this side is implying the left side of your brain. Going to the east, going to throw the net to the right, sitting at the right hand of the Father, implies the right part of your brain. The right part of your brain is imagination, it's connection to source, it's intuition, it's all things creative. The left side is logical, it's rational, it's meant for normal thought. Apparently that's the only 10% we really use. And that's why you tithe. You need to tithe your logic, the left side of the brain, to understand the 90%, the right side of your brain. Here. Even though I think Albert Einstein was a part of a spiritual psyop as well, because, who is to say, maybe he was a good guy, but I feel like sometimes they have a controlled opposition for information they leak. Could be, could not be. Maybe there is inherently very good people in power and inherently very bad, and it's always been a battle. But in this book on page 378, it says, imagination is more important than knowledge. Also understand, history is written in the eyes of the victors. They want you to romanticize how they rewrote history so you don't know what happened, so they can recreate it again and keep controlling the world. Knowledge, truly, to a degree, what we're taught in school, I don't know how much of it's real and not real. If you have a scientist and they say eggs and coffee are bad for you, what do you think is going to happen with that scientist conducting studies? If my perspective and my genuine belief creates my reality, and I think eggs and coffee are bad for my diet, I am going to find confirmation bias in my research and I'm going to publish some article that says I'm right because I believe I'm right. Meanwhile, some other scientist is going to have their own opinion and say, hey man, there's great fatty acids in there. It's a good source of cholesterol, which we do need. The Western diet is a complete psyop after World War II. A majority of our health issues are from the foods that are currently being poisoned. Eggs and coffee are good for you. Let's say that is their perspective. What will they find? Confirmation bias. Coffee and eggs are good for you because I was seeking the information that I believe to be true, which goes back to seek and ye shall find, which is the foundation of the law of assumption, right? It's not seeking with your two eyes, it's seeking with your one. This is the so above, the physical plane is the so below. You interact in the simulation, in the matrix, by having judgments of reality. And I think I wanted to make this video about health, and look how I derailed. I'm already 16 minutes in, but you know, I'll still talk about it. I brought this up in another video in the past, but it's like, think about the placebo effect, sugar pills. People will have chronic illnesses, take a sugar pill, they're told it's some sort of pharmaceutical all-cure situation, whatever it might be, and that person believes it because they really trust their doctor and they really trust the science. What's going to happen to them? They're going to heal because they believed it. Even myself, I had autoimmune issues for almost a decade. So much so that after I took a general body test, it said that my organs were declining. I ate a very healthy diet from what I thought health was in my mind. I was exercising regularly, was fairly young. How is it that my organs are not doing well? I was told by a couple doctors, this is normal for your age. Having digestive issues was one of them. And I thought to myself, how is my body shutting down normal for my age? Or at any age, honestly. I guess maybe when you're older, but also aging to a degree can be a psyop. I don't know. The birthdays seem like a really weird ritual. Hey man, congratulations, you're 1 year closer to death. Who started that? My grandma didn't have a birth certificate. They celebrated name days. They didn't even use numbers to implant in your subconscious a concept of age. It was more so celebrating just, hey, you're here. I can celebrate I exist without needing to quantify a number about my existence. I'm just here, man. Why can't we do that? Because if you start quantifying things and labeling things, it's another way to limit you. This is what you are. That makes the brain happy. The brain loves logic and rationality, but it's also an idea. And all ideas are just freaking ideas. They can be true or not true depending on what you think. So that's the whole point of this awakening business, is when you understand your thoughts create your experiences truly in your physical plane. You are a supercomputer. Like, that's pretty freaking sick, man. If your imagination can birth genuine experiences in your physical plane, why would you not want to participate? Why would you not want to figure it out? Yeah, it's difficult at first, but you probably have had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of conditioning, of limitations, of people just telling you you're just a human being and that's subpar average. And it's like, no, you are a god. And to that point, I want to bring up a couple of verses here from this book that are also from scripture to further elaborate on the point I'm making here in the conversation I'm trying to have. So it says in John 10:10, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. I am come. I mean, I guess this dude could have said, I'm coming here so you guys can have life and, have it more abundantly. But would a person really showing up give you more life? Maybe. Their physical experience is nice to experience. It's always good to hang out with someone cool you love. But I like that in the beginning it says, I am come. Basically, I am awareness. What are you claiming to be? What is your consciousness saying? I am beautiful. All right. People will straight up repeat back to you your affirmations. You could look like a dumpster fire physically and repeat to yourself, I am a goddess. They will tell you you are a goddess. And for my men, say, I am a straight up God. And you will have women saying, oh my God, you're like a God. They have to. If you decree a thing, it must come to pass. So here when it says, I am come that they might have life. When you understand what you are, then you bring life to yourself. And that they might have it more abundantly. The more you recognize I am, the more abundance you can have when you recognize the power it gives you, it brings you. The abundant life that Christ promised us is ours to experience now. Manifestation is this instant, so long as you believe it is, but not until we have the sense of Christ as our imagination can we experience it. Christ is not a person. Jesus Christ is not a human being. Jesus is a man who was born of a spirit and void of ego, symbolically. That's what you are when you have a spiritual awakening and choose to not let your mind take over your spirit, your intuition. That's why Cain kills Abel. Cain is the masculine mind. Abel is the spirit. Cain kills Abel because the mind kills your spirit. Anytime it hears intuition chirp, it doesn't understand that voice. That's why it feels it's threatened. But your spirit will never attack you. It'll always come back and whisper because it knows it's right. When someone's confident, do they have to prove a point? No, because they're just cool. They're happy. They know that they're them and they're not going to change. When someone's annoying, narcissistic, and attention hog, what do? They yap, 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 yell, 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 fight. They get all wound up. That's Cain. That's the mind. Abel doesn't have to do anything. He just dies because he's just like a victim of the mind. Like a lot of people are. A lot of people spiral because of their thoughts. A lot of people do dark things because of their thoughts. But at the end of the day, they control them. Because they give their power away to the news, to drugs, to alcohol. And that's what demons are. It's not like some spirit comes in and whatever. I mean, if you want to believe that, cool. I don't believe in demons because, why would you want to experience that? No thanks, I'm good. I'm okay. So when you understand Christ is your imagination, Jesus Christ is a man who is aware of his power, just like you are if you're watching this video. The mystery hid from the ages, Christ in you, the hope of glory, is your imagination. Notice how it says the mystery hid from the ages. This has been going on forever. Like, since the beginning of time, there's always been survival mode of who can be best, who can conquer. But when you understand this power, you know that there's an infinite supply of abundance, of health, of friendship, of a lot, if you just let it in and believe. Imagination is our Redeemer, the Lord from heaven, born of man, but not begotten of man. This was really cool. I looked this one up because I actually was like unsure of exactly what I wanted to say about that. But when you're born of man, that means you're born of a human, right? Like you're born of a human. I'm born of a human. I had parents. I have parents. But you're not begotten. Here, wait, where is it? But not begotten of man. And that's really important because it says your body came through human beings, but the real you was not created by human beings. which implies your spirit. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. There's a theory that once you're done here, you go somewhere else immediately. I don't know. If you look at ancient paintings, there's typically an angle of light jutting out of someone's third eye in like, what is it called? Like the stained glass. All an angle is referring to an angel. An angel of light is an angle. Angels of light are angels. You're an angel because you're light. You have light force in you. Consciousness is light. And it also ties to enlightenment. Here in the book of Joel, it says, let the weak man say, I am strong. And that also lends a hand to health, because if you say, I'm sick, I'm tired, I don't feel well, I'll never figure this out, I hate myself, I resent this situation, that will then become what you live through, that what you experience. I had digestive issues for nearly a decade, and it got so bad because my thoughts got so bad, where I was allergic to like everything. Any food group would trigger me. Truly, I remember eating certain foods, reading the symptoms of them if I had a particular dietary issue. And because I was convinced of that dietary issue, instantaneously, I experienced a reaction, a bad one. So when I saw that, and I remember that, and I recall that, and keep in mind, I've done MRIs, I've done CAT scans, I've done blood work, I did the microbiome tests, I did fasting, a 2-week water fast. Nothing fucking helped. I went to 7 different specialists, gastrologist or gastroenterologist, whatever, endocrinologist, which is, I think, the hormone doctor, or no, gynecologist. Yeah, gynecologist for the hormones. And what else? A chiropractor, because all of that is affiliated with your digestion. Allegedly, if you're in the health industry, you know that your hormones dictate your energy levels, so that goes hand in hand. But does it? It's a belief. So that's kind of where I stray in between the health industry and my beliefs. If I believe this thing is bad, will it be bad? I don't know. I tend to just stick with natural things because I've experimented before and have things that aren't natural in moderation, and my body seems to do just fine. But after recognizing that I would blame supplements, I would blame diets, I would blame foods, I would blame everything for me having digestive issues, they never would alleviate. Those things I blamed became, honestly, my worst triggers. And I thought to myself, what else can I do? And I truly broke down. And there was this one experience I had where I made a deal with what I thought God was at the time. And I said, you know, if I'm really made to get through this, can you please show me a sign? But if I'm not, respectfully, just like end it. Like that sounds so negative. I promise I'm fine. Like this was years ago. But you get to a place when you feel so ill that you're just like, I'm done with this. I don't see how it can get better. And I went to bed that night being okay with finding an answer, or also not waking up at all, if that's what God wanted. So that next day, I actually woke up. And to my surprise, I was very, very in awe, because I thought so harshly towards myself that, you know, it was impossible to figure out, that God, you know, wanted me to heal. That's what I thought. But all me experiencing in that situation was just my deepest subconscious belief of wanting to be healed, even though I was thinking constantly I wouldn't be able to. And that goes back to the beginning of my story, of this video, is when you think, but don't genuinely believe, nothing is going to happen poorly to you. So I didn't subconsciously believe I would actually die, but I thought to myself, you know, if that's what God wants, then that's okay. So I'm showing you the difference between being asleep and witnessing your consciousness play out, and thinking it's something outside of you, like God giving you a second chance, when in actuality, it's subconsciously you don't want to give up and you want to find an answer, and you just let it up to him to figure out. But there is no him, it's just you. You and the Father are one. You are a physical entity born of God's awesome power. So when you deeply seek healing, but you have all these scattered thoughts that, make it seem impossible, I guarantee there will be some form of burnout where you just kind of let go and say, I don't care anymore. I really don't care anymore. And that's where I got to at the end of my health issues. And I said, if I'm meant to live now, because God said I would be able to, by waking up the next day, I was like, now he has to show me. Subconsciously, I truly believed you're going to have to show me how to heal. And that led me down a path of honestly not overthinking, of just letting go overthinking and being very present. Eventually I came across Neville Goddard. Eventually I came against Flora Scovel-Shinn. Eventually I came across different manifestation coaches and teachers and blogs and things of the like. And I thought to myself, I exhausted all physical avenues of healing, whether, like I mentioned, it was my diet changing, water fasting, any kind of scans, blood tests, microbiome test, hair samples, urine samples. There's nothing else for me to look into because all my tests were negative. I was like, it just has to be my thoughts. I don't know what else it could be. So at that point, I said, if it's my thoughts, then I'm going to use them to heal myself. And Lord and behold, within a month, I could start eating whatever I wanted. No more issues, no FODMAP, no carnivore diet, no vegan, vegetarian, no water fasting. Just what did you want to eat? And what did you judge about that food? And that cured my IBS of 10 years. I didn't have a gut issue. No one's born, bloating doesn't exist. I hate that term. It's so stupid. It's just, how do you judge food and be honest with yourself? And more importantly, how do you judge others? I think there's merit to a clean diet. I mean, I have my own opinion of what clean is, for sure. And I stray to that. But chances are there's an overwhelming amount of stress that you most likely have and cannot let go of because you are just on survival mode with focusing on that thing. Because I was gung-ho on trying to figure out what was wrong with me. But you need to understand, when you say something's wrong with me, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with me. You're just projecting that to keep happening. You're keeping up the story of eventually I'll figure it out. And there's still something wrong with me though. And if every day you still do that, that will still become what you experience. That's what karma is. Karma is cause and effect. It's what do you think, and you'll experience it in the matrix. Karmic partners are not real. Please stop talking about karmic partners. I experienced 5 or 6 of karmic partners and they each taught me a lesson. It's like, no, you're just experiencing what you think you deserve. If you think you're on some journey to like go through all these romantic interests for karma reasons, it's just like, you're just creating what you're thinking in your head with these people, and you're just recreating the same crappy experiences that are really annoying that you don't want anymore. It's not because you're like on some journey for God. You were born here with free will. Why would you be on a journey? You don't have a destiny. You get to choose. You have a multitude of destinies. If you want to do nothing with your life, great, that's your destiny. If you want to do everything with your life, great, that's your destiny. You have free will. Free will implies do what you want. There's no contract. Just show up and be here and experience the power of your consciousness. You can use it to hurt yourself like I did, or to heal yourself like I did. You could use it to make great relationships, or you can use it to make horrible relationships. It's when you practice a focused attention, you see how much of your life truly has been dictated by you, but that only comes with being still. We need to practice being aware. Be very mindful of your thoughts. That's why shepherds in scripture watch their sheep. It's not because this being a real shepherd. It's because a shepherd represents somebody who's in control of watching what they think, Sheep are divine thoughts. That's why they visit Jesus when he's first born, because he was born pure of the spirit, so naturally divine thoughts would meet him. That's what the symbolism is. And that's what you have to do. Be like Christ, not using the mind to judge, but to be aware and to set good intentions for yourself, for a life of health, happiness, and good fortune. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed that video. Feel free to check out the things that I have available in my description. I have a children's book called Who is the Voice That Lives in My Head, which talks about consciousness. It's about the duality of falling asleep and waking up. I also have some cool art projects on Etsy, greeting cards, stickers, magnets of funny, cool illustrations that I enjoy doing, as well as, what else do I have? Oh, I have some merch too. I do some cool hoodies and t-shirts and things of the like. So with that being said, thank you so much for your support. Like, share, and subscribe if anything resonated and you enjoy my content. And that's all I got. So I'll see you in the next video. Take care.